William Aratobo, a Baptist preacher and vice president to Todman, completed his term following Todman's death in a London clinic and was subsequently elected and served from 1972 to 1980. Toba took over Liberia at a time when its political life was controlled by less than 3% of the population, the American Liberians, and its economy controlled by foreign investors. The tribal majority were still largely excluded from both the economy and national politics. Hence, Toba's vision was the holistic development of the nation. His vision was communicated in the following expression: from mat to mattresses, total involvement for higher heights. It is rally time. Because the total integration of the citizenry around the bold vision was the utmost strategy. It was his utmost strategy. He often said to the people in his Pele vernacular, Kukatona, meaning we are all one people, one big family. Toba's effort at fostering cardinal virtues such as unity, prudence, justice, temperance, fortitude, faith, hope, and charity in the process of building a wholesome functioning society and winning the war against ignorance, disease, and poverty was soon aborted. On 12 April 1980, a military coup d'etat brought to power a group of indigenous Liberians who were at the bottom of the nation's social, economic, political, academic, intellectual scale. None of the coup leaders showed a sign that they had encountered the Christian faith, and none had acquired the equivalent of a high school education, and thus could not comprehend the dynamics of national and international politics. Hence, the ascendancy of the military leader Samuel Doe was the beginning of the darkest period in Liberian history. The military government, predominantly indigenous people, was soon caught into the web of tribalism, ethnicism, sectionalism, massive abuses of human rights, rampant corruption, and an intense oppression of members of the former ruling class. Leaders of the church, such as Bishop George D. Brown, Michael Kwakala Francis, Bishop Arthur F. Kulah, rose up to the risky task of serving as the beacon of hope in the midst of anarchy and social economic disorder. But their godly counsel and pieces of advice were ignored by the military leaders. In fact, their personal lives and the life and that of their family soon came under severe threats. The threats, molestations, and insecurity that ensue against ordinary citizens, including church leaders, led a conglomeration of all mainline churches into the formation of the Liberia Council of Churches, LCC, in 1981. This body became the conduit for the collective voice of the church on social, economic, political, and religious issues. Through the LCC, the military government's unpopular Decree 88A, which restricted political association and discussion, was denounced and subsequently repealed. The Liberian people saw the Decree 88A as it certainly was an instrument that could easily be used to plunge the nation into a reign of terror. Bishop Brown, in a sermon illustration referring to the nation as a little bird, had reminded the military government of President Doe that the life of the bird was in his hands, and the quality of his leadership would determine the little bird's continued survival or death. However, that was ignored as well. When General Doe was attempting to change his military uniform to a civilian one, that is to become a civilian president, against previous commitment to the Liberian people to return to the barracks, Bishop Kulah warned him that the gun that liberates cannot rule. But Doe took offense at that statement and then began to see the church as an opposing force to his aggrandizement for power at all costs. His anger against the church further led to his government's cancellation of subsidy to Christian institutions. With time, the result was that our beautiful nation was plunged into one of Africa's bloodiest civil war ever.